Hi, this is Matthew, and I've had an interesting week. I've been exploring a lot with Linux related topics and going over territory that I really haven't before. So, some background, I've been using Linux at least since 2004, and it's probably was about a year or so earlier than that. So, probably coming up on 17 years of Linux use. And for the vast majority of that, I've been using whatever the default graphical shell is for Ubuntu. I used the first version of Ubuntu that came out in 2004 and pretty steadily used the default version of Ubuntu up until Ubuntu dropped the Unity shell and went to Gnome 3. And when they did that, when they went to Gnome 3, there were a couple reasons, performance issues that they hadn't quite figured out, that I started looking for other alternatives. And I went to the Mate desktop with Ubuntu Mate. And since then, I've really liked the Cinnamon Mint, so I guess the Cinnamon desktop environment that comes default with Linux Mint. And I've talked about that before. I highly recommend that, especially for people who are new to Linux that are coming to Linux from Windows. The Linux Mint Cinnamon edition with the Cinnamon desktop environment. It's really good. I like it. I recommend it. But as a result of exploring videos and Linux content, especially on LBRY, I've been watching Brodie Robertson's videos for pretty much since I joined LBRY again and started being interested in publishing my own videos. So I've watched most of Brodie's videos for the last month or so. And he uses something called a tiling window manager. And I'd heard of that before, but never really used one. And so that piqued my interest and curiosity, and I started to explore. And one of the things I'm interested in doing more with is Alpine Linux, which I've mentioned before. And Alpine Linux doesn't come with the graphical user environment installed. So it doesn't come with, Gnome 2 or Gnome 3 or KDE or Cinnamon Desktop installed and working out of the box. It's just the command line, and that's it. And so I'm interested in Alpine Linux for server stuff, but I'm also curious of what kind of graphical options there are. And then I started to see some things with tiling window managers and the awesome window manager. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Let me try this out. And I actually did get it, the awesome window manager, started and working from a tutorial that I found on Alpine Linux's wiki, which is excellent that they provide that resource. And I mostly got it working from that, but I don't really know how to use tiling window managers. So I feel like I'm a complete newbie with this, even though I've been using Linux for close to 17 years. I've just always used the default shell's graphical interface that's come with the kind of main distributions and the popular distributions like Ubuntu. So this is a whole new area for me that I'm really kind of geeking out about and interested in and having fun with. I have a lot to learn. And I thought I was going to be using the awesome window manager, but I've changed my mind primarily because I want to be able to follow along with somebody. And Brodie uses bspwm. And since he's using it and he's got some tutorials and he shows some of his configuration files and he explains a little bit what's going on, I haven't installed it yet, but it's in the Alpine Linux repository. And I'm using Manjaro right now as my kind of main desktop that I do recording for the retroedge.tech channel, and I publish things to my website and that sort of thing using this version of Manjaro. And I've got Manjaro Cinnamon on. So the thing that I liked so much about let's see, can I pull up about, it's system info. So system info will tell me that I'm running Manjaro Linux, and it doesn't tell me that I'm running the Cinnamon thing. But if I pull up and do neo fetch, I think it will. Yeah, that'll tell me, which version of everything that I'm using, including the Cinnamon desktop on Manjaro. So that's my kind of workstation desktop for doing these videos. I'm using Solus on my other work desktop just because I've got Solus Mate on there. I've had it on there for a year. Everything's working fine. I'm probably just going to keep it that way, at least for the time being. And then on one of my laptops, my ThinkPad laptops, which I don't use very much anymore, I've been finding that I really like using desktop computers, and I'm moving more and more towards that direction. So even though I love ThinkPads, I've only used my ThinkPad a couple times in the last 3 weeks or so. But on my ThinkPad, I have Linux Mint Cinnamon Edition. I'm having fun with that when I do use it. So I like Cinnamon. I like Linux Mint. I'm also having fun with Manjaro, and I've got the Manjaro Cinnamon Edition for my Wayne workstation. But I do see that Manjaro has the bspwm as that you can just download as kind of a spin of Manjaro. And they also have some other tiling window managers in their community edition. So they have Awesome, which I checked out a little bit. They have bspwm. They have i3, which is a tiling window manager that a lot of people use. I've never used it. And they have OpenBox, which I think is sort of similar to a tiling window manager. I haven't used that one hardly at all either. I think I've live booted it a couple times a long time ago with the OpenBox, some kind of Linux distribution live thing with the OpenBox, but that's about it. So I may be giving bspwm a try and exploring these tiling window managers. In my post on my website, I link to some things with that. So here's through Brodie, I was introduced to Luke Smith, who I'm pretty impressed with. I like his videos. I like his topics. And I've got a link in my blog post in which he does a video introducing his interest and usage of the bspwm window manager. Of course, the WM in bspwm pretty sure stands for window manager. So there's a number of different ways that I can try it out. I also link to just a description of what tiling window managers are. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of them. Awesome, DWM, I guess OpenBox looks like it's mentioned there. i3 doesn't look like there it is. bspwm, a small tiling manager. So there's a number of different options here, but because there's some tutorials that Brodie has given and also it's mentioned in Luke's videos, I think I'm going to follow along with them and try bspwm. It is available on Alpine Linux, but there's no tutorial that I've found so far that says, hey, here's how to set up bspwm on Alpine. So I'll probably use bspwm a little bit on Manjaro, but with the goal of being able to set it up on Alpine as I explore Alpine Linux more. So for the last week, I've been having fun exploring broad Linux topics, been learning more about tiling window managers, made some progress on learning more how to use Alpine Linux. I've had a number of hours of hands-on time exploring things there, the package manager, also installing the awesome window manager and at least getting it to launch and working with it a little bit. So it's been a good week. I'm having fun with computers, and I'm enjoying that. That's a good thing. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.